So welcome back, people. Like I said, a lot of people said, oh, Tucker was concerned. He was this, he was that. But again, he was the only guy that would let the other side on say their speech, not agree with the other side, not call them names, and not have a panel. Here's Robert Kennedy Jr. running for president on the Democratic ticket. Nobody wants him. Tucker does not shy away from him. He calls him right up front. You getting clowned and dismissed because they think you're a vaccine nut. But Tucker addresses it immediately. And then Kennedy brings up some salient point why we giving Ukraine $100 billion, but we taking our people off food stamps to pay for that war. He's not on CNN. He's not on MSNBC. Other networks are not talking about that. These are American citizens. But because it's on Tucker and people get in their silos, it's dismissed. But let's hear what Robert Kennedy Jr. had to say. Again, he calls him, like, say, you a nut job up front. He don't hide from it.
Now, Bobby, thanks so much for coming on. So you are, of course, being dismissed as a vaccine nut, but watching your announcement today, it wasn't about pharma even so much as it was about America's place in the world and what do we do about it. If you wouldn't mind summarizing for our viewers where you think we are and what you think we ought to do.
Well, I gave a long speech, Tucker, and thank you again for having me on.
Of course.
And for that very kind of an introduction. You know, I think that the general theme of my speech was this corrupt merger of state and corporate power, which is turning our country into a corporate kleptocracy, into a system of socialism for the rich, and this kind of a cushy socialism for the rich, and this kind of brutal, merciless capitalism for the poor. It keeps us in a state of war. It bails out banks at the same time that last month, the United States government told 30 million people it was cutting their their food stamp checks by 90%. It took 15 million people off of Medicare. The same month, it gave $300 million to the Silicon Valley Bank, and tapped up the cost of the Ukraine war to $113 billion. We're sending $113 billion to the Ukraine. The entire budget of EPA is $12 billion. The budget of CDC is $11 billion. We have 57% of American citizens could not put their hands on $1,000 if they have an emergency. A quarter of our citizens are hungry. So we're cutting welfare and food stamps by 90%. And we're paying, and we're bailing out the bankers. We're paying for a war that, we.
There you go. There you go. Now, I want to fast forward to something he said. In the past 2 years, basic food has gone up 76%. I want to get into that. But it's not on any other network. But if you say something, you're wrong. But it's on Tucker, so let's just dismiss food costs and inflation because, it's on Tucker.
Years, and now we're cutting people's food stamps and bailing out banks the same month. It doesn't make any sense. And we need to get rid of this kind of corporate control of our government. It comes from our democracy is devolving into kind of a corporate plutocracy.
I would think that what you just said, and I'll just be honest, I agree with you.
Devolving into kind of it doesn't make any sense in the last 2 years, and now we're cutting people's food prices on the poor.
Basic food.
Oh, we've raised food prices for basic foods like chicken, dairy, and milk by 76% in the last 2 years, and now we're cutting people's food stamps and bailing out banks the same month.
It's on Tucker. We cutting out basic food. Basic food. I got to play that for you.
76%.
76%.
Oh, we've raised food prices for basic foods like chicken, dairy, and milk by 76% in the last.
Hold on.
2 years, and now we're.
Last 2 years, food went up 76% in the past 2 years. But, it's Tucker. I don't want to hear that. Facts are fact. Truth is truth. Stay in your silos. Americans lose.